Millie, good morning to you. How are you?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Come in and join us. Get closer to that microphone. I can tell the nation that I saw you on Saturday at half-time at St James's Park, where your club Aston Villa were in the wrong end of a 4-0 thrumping. I was shouting to you, but you didn't hear. Were you going downstairs?
He did. He was just ignoring.
Oh, you just blanking me.
Not at all. Not at all.
Were you going down to the away dressing room at half-time?
I absolutely was. I was part of there with the coaching team this week, helping out. I got asked to do that on Monday. Helped out for the week, and culminated in the 4-0, which, again, the quicker we put that behind us and move forward, the better.
For sure. Well, things have changed since then, because we now know the new man has appeared on the scene, Unai Emery. You are at the club at the moment, the club's lone player development coach. Presumably that is a job that Emery rates highly in terms of the business you can do for the football club. Did you speak to him? I think he was at the training ground yesterday, am I right?
We had a sort of brief introduction. I think just a general one from everyone. I think the full focus is obviously going to be on the first team and what they're doing in the next 2 weeks till the break. So listen, I understand there'll be time for talk later on, but it's I think it's all systems go from that side of things.
Has it been a tricky time, Millie? Since Gerrard's departure and this fella coming in.
It's always I've seen it a few times at different football clubs. More as a player a couple of times, and obviously then now in sort of staff capacity as well. It's never easy. You build relationships with people. It's individuals, and you don't know how it's going to affect individuals, whether it be players or staff alike. So you've got to be very sensitive to that issue and be aware of it. But we also know that there's football matches to be played, and it's up to us, particularly in the moments just recently, was to support the players 100% and try and get the best out of them every which way. It
looked like a club in transition, a team in transition on Saturday, didn't it? With all due respect, you work with these guys. I was talking to Ashley Young afterwards, and morale was down, morale was low.
Yeah, listen, I think the nature of the defeat, it wasn't what we expected, I suppose. However, I think it's a fair reflection of how it's been a little bit inconsistent, and I know that that's something that will get addressed. And it's going to take a collective. It's everybody's responsibility to do that, and I have no doubt that the new manager and his staff will continue to do that.
Did you many a tussle with the man to your right, Danny Murphy?
My reflection on meeting, actually, I got a little story. So one of the first Premier League games I went to go watch as a spectator was at Stamford Bridge, and he was playing against Chelsea. I took my father there on Boxing Day one year. I think it was the season after, or maybe 2 seasons after, we ended up playing against each other. He was playing for Blackburn. I was obviously at Palace. We won the game, but I always remember that memory very fondly.
They had.
I think Miller's being very polite, don't you?
Yeah, no, he was. That we got. They had Zara and Balassi on the wings. I think it was. They were good side then, Palace. It was a brief stint in the Championship for me that made me realise, whoa, maybe this ain't. Maybe I'm done here. That game in particular.
Did you win it easily, comfortably?
Yeah, it was a comfortable win.
I think we were in that vein. I think we were in that run where we won quite a few games in a row, and we had the place rocking, and anyone that came, we just thought we'll impose ourselves, and we didn't really look back from that point.
What does, changing the subject back to now, the job you've got is really interesting actually. What does it actually entail specifically?
Lone player development coach.
Yeah, so a lot of the responsibilities around supporting those players when they go out. It's
going to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's whether it be watching them, going and visiting clubs, meeting the staff, whatever which way you can go and do that. There's no, I think with this side of the game and particularly the loans department, it can sometimes get a little bit lost when they are out of the building, the boys. So we make it, listen, we've got every intention to make sure that they don't slip through the cracks and they're getting every support that they can. Whilst also, working with the staff that we've sent them to, because I think that's a big part of it as well, for future relationships or anything like that as well.
Does that also involve can they communicate with you at any point?
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, got a problem?
Absolutely. Listen, we've got we've got some things in place where we like to sit down with the boys every 6 weeks and go through certain aspects, how they, are very holistic approach, which is important. Give them feedback if they need it, if they want it. A lot of the times they do want it, which is great. But like I said, it's just also important that they know that they've got people from their parent club looking out for them.
Well, one thing is for sure, I think Simon would agree. I've been in and around Aston Villa since I came down to England many years ago. Knew Doug Ellis very well. Of course, no longer with us. You are working for a massive club. It should never, ever go unnoticed. The potential and the support. Millie, what would you say about Villa and what they could, if things were to turn around and go right again under Emery, what they might achieve? Yeah,
listen, I think the club has made it. Its intentions very, very clear of where they want to be. They are
two wealthy owners.
They are trying to push for that for European football. Does it have the potential and the capacity to go and do that? Absolutely. I think you guys are all aware of that. I think the listeners will be aware of that. It's just now, trying to crack on with that and allowing someone the opportunity to go and make that happen. Which is that going to happen overnight? Probably not, but it will take a little bit of time. But hopefully we can see that that come to fruition very soon. Were you sad to see Steven Gerrard go, Millie, and the fashion in which it ended? Absolutely. I think anytime you build up a relationship with an individual, and Stephen always had time for our department, whether it be asking about a player or always kept on top of things. So you never want to see that. Like I said, I think watching the game at Fulham was very hard to watch, not only as a former player and an employee, but I felt for everybody that was there, because listen, you could tell it's just like I said, it is unfortunately part of our business and our industry, but it's just like I said, you don't want to wish that on anybody. You don't want to wish it for anybody. Yeah. Have you spoken to him, Danny?
No. I tend to leave people be when they're in a bit of a reflective state.
Yeah, I get that.
I'm not like you. I don't pester people and constantly phone them every hour of the day.
It's a job, mate. It's the nature of the job. Simon, we were talking about Newcastle knocking on the door of top six. Aston Villa have got to be knocking on that same door in the coming seasons.
Well, not if they spend 25 million net each. Some of them won't be.
The potential, though, of that football club is enormous.
Sometimes you have to talk about. I mean, potential is one of those words that you use when people are never delivering an outcome, because eventually potential has to become something rather than just a constant reference. Crystal Palace were always referenced during my time and before my time at Crystal Palace as once upon a time a team in the 80s with enormous potential. And eventually you've got to turn around and say, well, Jesus, is someone ever going to deliver this potential? Aston Villa undeniably are a very significant football club, and Doug Ellis I had a great time for, one of the few chairmen I actually liked and got on with, which is surprising given the diametrics of our personalities. But I think they have an opportunity. I always felt, and I did, that Gerrard's appointment was a risk for Villa, but it was much so for Steven, because it was a direction of travel that I thought would take him out of Villa, and it did, and stops that bandwagon that his next dugout appointment is going to be Liverpool possibly. But of course, the appointment of Unai Emery takes it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Now, Villa have got to do things better than they've been doing them. They had a chance. They had a chance with Randy Lerner in 2005. John Gregory got them going in one direction for a period of time, and then Martin O'Neill got them in another and put them in a six. And then Lerner's appetite for the side of football, which is the economic insatiability of football clubs, became less and less, so he wanted to get away from it. But undeniably, they've got two owners that understand sports businesses. They're, sports franchises in their world, one of them being American, but sports businesses. So they've got the ambition, they just need to harness it. And they've got to spend, as much as I would sit in the couch saying it's not all going to have to be this way, is it? But if you've got a net spend of 25 million quid and the people you're trying to compete against have got far bigger spends, then you're going to have to be really, really outstanding at producing young players and being able to scout around the world and make sure you do the best business deals. And that's incredibly hard to keep on doing.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.